What's up, Facebook? It's your boys. We got three native sons.
Three natives. Let's go.
So yeah, we got the homeboy Jeremiah,
Yo.
and then of course Scott and I, and
Mhm.
yeah, we're excited for this one, man. Honestly, good vibes, good energy, good peoples, and who knows? I mean, God, first time we met up and had a conversation, it went crazy, and honestly, like, it's awesome. So you might have noticed our previous one got deleted. Whatever, show up unscripted. It's all good. So that being said, Jeremiah, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Oh man, love that. Isn't that the beautiful question? Here I am, just this Mexican, Filipino, Asian blended 26-year-old. Sadly not a native. Sadly not a native, but massive, massive, massive support of Colorado. My wife is a Colorado native. Originally from the West Coast, Los Angeles, California. Well, in particular, West Covina, California. And yeah, man, moved out here with the whole family when I was like 10. Grew up here, so kind of a bit of a hybrid of sorts. You know, just got the California and the Colorado in me, and I love it. Currently, I'm actually just at a small business coffee shop called Building 3 Coffee. If you guys are looking into coffee, people who take care of their beans, take care of the actual art of good tasting espresso, come check out that shop, man. Find me there. You know, if you say what up, I don't know, I'll hook you up with a free drink or something. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So I'm just helping out there, helping the owners, and just having a good time.
That's awesome, man. What's
Anybody? I've got a watch party started, so anybody that's watching the watch party, jump on Patrick's page because if you leave comments, it's not showing up over here. And we had one individual, Patrick Massey, that was very sad last week when he was making comments, and he's like, "Dude, like, did you block me?" We're like, "No." So if you're watching the watch party, jump over on Patrick's page, and that way your comments can come up and we can see them, and you don't feel sad.
Yeah, you don't want to go through that regret that he went through, having to wait a whole week just to find out that it wasn't intentional. No, we happened to just go up to coffee, and he was like, "Bro, really?" He's like, "All right," and he was so hyped. He's like, "2 native sons for life," and nothing. And then he was like, "That's right, let's go." Nothing. Third time he was like,
"Let's go."
He's like, "What's up?" And they're like,
"Man, just an avatar."
I totally spelled unscripted wrong as well.
It's okay. We're good.
Dude, it's all good. We're finding out along the way. We're just taking steps, We're letting it flow. Letting it flow.
Right.
So good.
Yeah. Unscripted.
There it is. Unscripted. Might as well just leave it like that, just kind of
unscriped.
You know how we do. We're all off the cuff anyway, so if somebody's gonna be sad about that, that's okay.
That's fun. There are worse things than being unscripted. So, man, like, if I'm not my best today, I got a heavy heart on me. Honestly, like, just kind of some stuff going on with family. And again, the best thing that I can do is I can just be honest about the situation, right? And it's really crazy because, I was telling Scott, like, man, my pops is the type of person where he just kind of carries all these things on his shoulders, and so you just never know really when he's too stressed. But when you know that he's going through some stuff, and like, it's crazy, because I've only seen it one time when he was like reaching out for help, or 2 times, my entire life. But for him to reach out and be like, "Hey, just keep checking in on me from time to time, stop by or whatever," you know what I mean? It's like, dang, and I can't imagine at like his age, because he's like 67, 68, something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
what that looks like too, especially with COVID, right? Because before you could go out and you can go out to eat and hang out with your friends and stuff like that. But even now, it's like at their age, they got to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah.
So there's all these different things, and so for me, it's just kind of in a weird spot because I'm like, I've got this, stress of work, I've got family stress, and then now I'm trying to take care of my father and trying to take care of him. And again, like I owe it to him, you know what I mean? Not only because he's my father, but because I look up to him. He took care of, raised 3 of us by himself. There's just so many different reasons why I want to do that. But man, like even just on the car ride over, I was like, dang, I'm tired.
For sure.
Emotional, it's that emotional pull, man. It's one thing that people really don't truly understand, how you can feel more tired when you're drained emotionally. And that's the key part of having your circle, having people that are around you that you can lean into. And I think that's ultimately, like we've talked about with the business, Two Native Sons, it's a beautiful thing to go into that together, because if one of us hit those rough days, then the other person can reach down and help pull you out. And so if anybody's thinking about going into business, finding somebody that dreams big with you is huge. And I know, Jeremiah, you've talked about some different things and just kind of your journey, because it was unique. It's one of those things that we had met and I was like, hey, what do you dream about? Because we were talking about some different things. And it was just powerful to hear you open up, because our conversation, you got really deep with some stuff. And I look at that as a compliment, that you trusted us to share that information, but also your upbringing. And then now with what you're doing and whatnot, you've got that drive, and it's just a powerful thing to be able to show people that you can overcome stuff. And if you've got questions, because you've talked about it, you've got those questions that you're going through right now, and just kind of finding yourself. So love to have that be shared with people so they can see that what we're doing is we're going the whole gamut. We don't care how long you've been doing it. If you're just starting, we just want to help people out wherever we can.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real, man. And I don't know, as you guys are just kind of talking, just that whole dynamic of, even being titled the Two Native Sons, that dynamic of even just fatherhood and sonship is just something that I know for me, as just even being a 26-year-old, and just kind of with the questions that I have right now, Pat, what you're mentioning, even about, kind of coming back to the family, helping out your family. Obviously, family's number one, be there for those who love you and those whom you love. But right now at 26, it's like, okay, to what degree, in a sense, does, the son have to go out on his own adventures and his own kind of leaving the house, coming up with his own choices, leaving the customs of the home, and kind of really, I would even say, like, being able to provide for himself, to be able to, in return, come back around to the family, So I know a big part of my story and even my opening up to you guys was because, like, I'm at the best way I could describe it. I feel like I'm like a like a Simba in the Lion King, like literally just leaving, what is it? I don't even know what the lands are called, but just like leaving, kind of that domain. Yeah, no, I'm not saying like the chosen one or anything out here, but I'm saying, I feel like I'm as a 26-year-old, like at this part where I'm leaving home, leaving I would even say the ideologies of home and saying, okay, like what's in a sense everything that the light doesn't touch, like what's on that other side, and to be able to, yeah, absolutely, for the sake and the hope of even, coming back around and being able to, provide and help the family to a greater degree. So Pat, even opening up with that, like, yeah, that's something that's extremely intriguing to me. I know even within, my parental relationship right now, like there's, stuff coming up where it's like, dude, that father-son, that mother-son relationship is so intriguing. So
yeah, what's interesting, man, is that like several times in your life you're going to go to what I call a crossroads, right? And sometimes it's like you feel like it's that flight or fight type mentality where this is it, this is a game changer, this is a life changer. Once I cross this, I ain't going back. And problem with that is that you just never know, but it is a path in an area that you have to find yourself at, because that really teaches you a lot about who you are, right? And every situation is different. Nobody knows the right answer. Even you yourself can think you have the right answer, but ultimately it's still that unknown. I've been there many times, right? And it's funny that you would talk about kind of that situation, because it wasn't too long ago that I felt like I was in that place. You know what I mean? And I actually wrote, or I started writing a piece of poem. I didn't quite finish it, but I'll share with you just kind of a couple of pieces or a couple of lines from it. And for me, the reason why I try to document, or why I try to write so often, is so I can go back and remember some of those things. And just by happenstance, while you were talking about it, something told me and something compelled me. It said, hey, bring up this poem. And it's funny because like I have it untitled. I've got plenty of them, so it's really hard to find sometimes. But something told me, hey, go open up your blog and open up this one. And literally crossed over, same thing that you were talking about here.
Yeah.
Constantly, consistently at a crossroads. I don't want to do this till I'm crossbones. Tired of being stuck like a sword in the stone or gallstones. Tired of the ups and downs like the Dow Jones. Too many friends and headstones instead of headphones. Too many texts instead of real convos. Can't juxtapose, keep getting shot by social crossbows. Why you judge me by the color of my nose, bro? Why not base it off the grease of my elbows? All our bone marrow is gonna dissipate. Facts though, what you gonna leave behind like the pharaohs? And it's all I had so far.
Bro, you spitting bars out here, dog. What in the world? What? Excuse me. I'm sorry. Carry on. That was just straight heat. I'm sorry. Carry on. Sorry.
But the point being is like, man, we're going to go through some of these things and you're just going to ebb and flow, right? And it's going to be like a roller coaster of emotions, you know? And even still, like, even though I'm like on this high of life, like things are going better than I could have ever imagined, you know, there is still going to be those ups and downs. There's still going to be those things that kind of pull you in. And it's kind of like a wave that hits the ocean and kind of pulls back. And so I don't know if you've ever tried drawing stuff, but sometimes it ruins it. Sometimes it sticks. You know what I mean? But you just kind of go back to it, right? And you got to find that base. And so when you do find yourself in these crossroads, you're just able to go ahead and have that strong enough base to pick yourself up again and then continue down the path.
That's good. That's good, man.
Well, Jeremiah, you've done some work too, though, with some photography. And I know you did that for a year, kind of on your journey, and then you talked it wasn't really for you. You've got some big dreams in regards to what you want to do with that. But I think you being a creative person too, using your photography skills, I've seen some of the work that you've done on Instagram, and man, because I know you had talked about your wife a little bit, and it was one of the videos that I was watching, and I think you may have had control of the video. And just to see the smile on her face and just to see that authentic piece right there, like it's a beautiful thing. And so you being a creative person and with what you have going on, man, I think you've got some big, big goals and aspirations. And it's funny because like we've talked and passed across and you just never know what comes out of it. But you also have to just show up and you can't be scared because you never know what comes out of this. So I know Patrick and I, after talking to you, man, we're excited. And we would love to have you share what you're doing, the goals that you have. That way people that's part of our community knows what's going on. Because the biggest thing is you've got to share your dreams. You can't be scared about something still in your dreams. What's really going to separate that for you is your story inside of that. Nobody's going to be able to implement that and imitate it. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. So for me, like it's really hard as I am asking just all those questions that a 26. I kind of joke with some of the employees who are 26, just behind the bar at Building 3 Coffee. Like it kind of feels like we're all. I'm actually have been surrounded by a few people who are calling it, the quarter life crisis. We're just asking some really deep questions, about ourselves. Why do we act the way do we act? And really just even asking that simple question, like, what do you want? Like, and really, at 26, I think right now what's happening is there's almost like this natural narrowing that's happening, that's almost coming to just the depths of my soul, my spirit. And it's like, I cannot run away anymore from asking myself these deep questions. And it's almost like, I don't know, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is like literally almost, I would even say like separating me even from people, my time, my desires, from even just like, playing video games, which I used to, man, put some hours in there. It's just like there's a dissatisfaction there, and it's almost like this natural calling to myself to sit with myself and put in the work of getting to know myself, like for myself, and really, because I'm really at this point where, I'm a 9 on the Enneagram, peacemaker. Personally, I feel that I do an amazing job of fighting for other people's vision more than I do for mine. And like all day, I can hop on someone's boat. I can fight. Like I can wear their logo. I can be like, yeah, let's go. But at the end of the day, like if that boat, sinks, there I am with, just nothing and just a ton of questions. So I'm in this place where I call it doing the hard work of just sitting with myself and asking myself questions. That's really it. And really so much has come out of it, personally, like you guys even mentioned, yeah, I'm at a coffee shop right now. Great. I mentioned to you that my heart is just mainly for people, just organizational health, the health of the organism, whether that's at a coffee shop, whether that's, 2 native sons, whether that's even within a family. I'm seeing that I have a real heart to speak and see life be brought to these places, because I know, so far in my experience, like, not bashing, but I mean, most places I've been to, it feels like, I don't know, there's kind of this lack. I've been in places and set places where there's lack and almost like there is potential that I see. I don't know what that is, like anywhere I go, there's potential that I see, but I've been like I tell my, fellow coworkers, like I grunt every once in a while where I'm like, ugh, like I like kind of frustrated because it's this great divide between what I see happening here and with people and where we're at. And, this great in between that I'm like, okay, I need to work on myself in regards to getting the skill, getting the knowledge, getting the actual capability to make this stuff happen, if that makes sense. So right now, personally, I'm doing the work of saying, okay, what are kind of the possibilities, ends, desires that I see with video, with just, teaching, the even passion for leadership, just like all, and even just creativity is like, okay, what's the end there? All these things ingrained in me. So it feels like I've been narrowed down to, I don't know, level 2, if you call it, of a certain amount of categories. But I feel that I'm still in the process of narrowing it down even more to say, this is where I'm going and I'm going to choose and commit to this. And it's my result to go to that, if that makes sense. So these are the musings of a 26-year-old, 5'6" Filipino Mexican.
It's all good. And so right now, like we were talking earlier, it seems like we've got some crazy stuff going on. Patrick probably can hear this. We've had experiences where like he drops off and he can still hear us. So I don't know if we may be kicked out here. We'll jump back on.
Yeah.
So I know he is right now is thinking. So we'll see what's going on or whatnot. But it's got to laugh. But I think it's a beautiful thing. Being a 26-year-old. having these questions, because a lot of times questions are going to arise and people will try to run from it. Or you'll look at it and you're like, I'm so young. Like, why would people want to listen to me? Why would people want to hear out what I have to say and whatnot? And so it's more of trusting yourself. And you've had experiences and whatnot. If you want to talk about your upbringing, because I know you being a pastor's kid and you talk truthfully about that, because that's a big thing for people to understand, that we all have shortcomings, but it depends on, are you going to allow it to overtake you, or are you going to learn from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to let y'all know, everyone who's watching, I, like Scott said, am a PK, pastor's kid, grew up in a church. It's so funny. I say that it feels like for every Sunday up until maybe 2 years ago, like I had like a perfect track record, like, and I'm talking from, month one of being on this earth, like just being at church, so yeah, definitely just ingrained within my DNA, just the culture of, Christianity and really just the knowledge of Scripture in the Bible, and even of, Jesus Christ. So for me, there's kind of two routes for pastors' kids in my perspective. There's kind of the good obedient route, and, maybe just fully sheltered, no, I don't know, just kind of, if I'm going to be honest, sometimes turning out a little bit weird. And just like a little bit socially awkward. And then there's the other route of, just always choosing partying, drugs, So I was in that category. But I had a genuine encounter, I believe, with just Jesus, man, when I was 18. That really looked like a personal experience, where, I don't know, man, just experienced the presence of God, where it wasn't a doctrine, it wasn't a teaching, it wasn't a belief, but like a genuine experience that I had that like was a total 180, for me. So that in turn just made me kind of pick up my own cross in a way and say, I am going to decide to follow Jesus Christ. And that looked like going to Bible college out in Marietta, California, and then one semester out in York, England. So with that being said, when I came back from my studies, I did get hired on at a church called Calvary Worship Center, actually here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Shout out to Al Pittman, holding it down at one of the, if I'm honest with you, like, mad respect, one of the most ethnically diverse churches I've ever seen, which is like seriously so impressive.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I give mad shout outs just to them and what they're doing and what God's doing there. Anyway, so got hired on there, and at a young age, at age 19, I was introduced to my first leadership role of being a young adult pastor. And really it was a super trial by fire, find out along the way, what you're made of. Just because at age 19, I remember I just started just saying, hey, we're going to be at a coffee shop, we're going to do teaching, and just going to blow up. We're going to have like, 200 young adults come, but it was in reality, what that looked like was, 10 young adults at a coffee shop where they couldn't even hear me teach because the music was playing in the coffee shop. It was just crazy. Anyway, so really just kind of learning, just by doing. So I was in that position for 4 years. Halfway in between that, I met my wonderful wife, Maya, and she just came alongside, and we were serving together for 2 years. But yeah, so that's kind of just my upbringing. And from there, man, having learned and taken so much, I wouldn't say at all I have bitterness, but I feel that I'm in a season where I've definitely stepped out from, I would even say, a path that may have been almost like paved for me, like, dude, pastor's kid, you get all the questions. I had church members calling my parents, knowing what I was doing and pretty much giving them a report on my life at school, because there's church. It was crazy, just this crazy like social pressure, at a young age. Yeah, I'm definitely in that season of discovering, what it all means to me, and what is my interpretation of it,
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you so much for being able to just be honest, right? Because that's tough, you know, especially like because you're in this season of trying to figure out what the next step is. It's easy to maybe feel judged, right?
Yeah.
With all that stuff. But I applaud your honesty. But you know what's so awesome, right? Is time and time again, God shows us that like no path is ever the same, right? I mean, even just look at like some of the most influential people of the Bible, right? We've got Saul turned Paul, right? We've got Moses who ran away from his calling. You've got Solomon who basically is considered to be the wisest person, but in some ways not necessarily having all of the things today of what we would consider maybe to be common knowledge, right? You know, so you just don't never know, right? And that's the beauty of life. And what's crazy is that like when I hear your story, I've been through so many variations of your path, right? So I myself at one point was a youth pastor, and I kind of feel like that I was thrust into that role because as a kid, I always thought that I was called to be in ministry, right? And so what I found quickly was just that like I'm not a really great employee. So that must mean that I'm really not going to be great being told what to do, you know?
Right.
At that time I was going through like a divorce, so how is it that I can sit there and be an example for kids if I'm going through stuff, right? I've questioned my faith. You know, there's so many different pieces of all of that. And you know what's crazy is that like throughout my really, I mean, the start of all of that stuff with the start of the divorce piece, with the depression, all of that stuff, that's really when I started and began to write. And it wasn't until honestly like within the last 9
He was like a
months.
real life superhero.
I know, just the flash right through. So what was also just incredible is that within the last 9 months did I really start to just enjoy writing for writing. One of my employees, Jared, he does a lot of music, a lot of hip hop. And he just told me, he's like, you know, I used to write so positively. He's like, and people honestly love the work. He's like, but I can't do it anymore. He's like, I feel like I've just been so jaded. And what's really crazy is that like I know exactly where he's been because it took years to be able to get to this point where I'm comfortable being able to write things regardless how negative they may be viewed, how positive it may be viewed. And you know, I wrote this piece sometime last year, and what's crazy is that it turns into like a 7-minute long poem. You know, one of the things that I had a poetry mentor, and he used to always kind of joke with me. He's like, "Man, you have no poetry stamina, right?" And so if you do like a slam poem or whatever, it's usually 2 to 3 minutes long. A lot of my stuff came off of one-liners, and then I would write a poem off of it. But, you know, oftentimes it was just basically like by the time that it was done, it was like 30 seconds long, right? And then I would listen to go these poems that were like sometimes 3, 4, 5 minutes. And so I really challenged myself to kind of dig deep with one particular poem called Creature. And it's what's really funny about it is it kind of runs through so many different gamuts in terms of where I've been to where I was at, to things that I don't want to see or things that I'm noticing as kind of maybe a father, maybe a reflection piece in regards to some of the things that I've done. And what's really crazy is that like I go back and even people who I may not have talked to in years from the stream community, they can recite every line of some of my poems better than I can because it resonated with them so much, you know. And so it's kind of the same thing with life, man. Whatever path you go through, you never know who's watching. You never know who's going to resonate with that. And you also never know who may truly gravitate toward the same things that you're going through. And that's really crazy to think that you going through maybe even a suffering, right? Or maybe this confusion, so to speak, right? Because you talked about basically just kind of completely coming off the path, you know, to be able to sit there and turn around and be like, dude, it's pretty crazy to think that I went through all of that stuff because I needed that to get to where I'm at. And somebody will turn up and be like, dude, I'm so glad that you went down that path and you are who you are today because I needed to hear your message, or I needed that. And that's like the beautiful thing about life and about being unscripted, like we often talk about, because just showing up may be the difference maker for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to laugh too, because we had talked about this, I think a couple episodes. I had brought that up because when we sat down and talked to you, I have to laugh because you're like, "Are you guys angels?" That's the first time you told that. But it's the power of just sitting down and talking to people, connecting with people, and just being open with people. But that always makes me laugh, because I'm like, that's the first time I've been called an angel. So appreciate that.
No, for sure, brother. No, for sure. No, it's seriously, that is literally so funny, because I mean, yeah, just that simple, open, honest transparency of you just saying, I mean, me opening up about what I was going through, you guys both being able to say, hey, we've been through stuff like that, and like sharing y'all's perspective, like so timely, for what I'm going through. Two random guys who are simply open and willing to talk in all honesty. Like, I mean, on our first meeting, like it was nothing short of, like, I would say heaven on earth, man, and divine, because it was like, dude, there's no other way that I'm going through this, and this randomly happens. So it's crazy, because like, even now with all the questions, relational stuff, business stuff, vision stuff, it's so insane, because like deeply ingrained within, I don't know, what do you call it, my spirit, I just have this underlying, I would even say, knowing that something great will come out of all this, and some sort of influence. In just even like from y'all coming to speak to me, and just how much that meant to me. Like, I just know, like, in me is ingrained this thing that I will be able to pass on, like, to other people, and I just, like, there's no doubt about it. So that's something I'm like, yeah, I'm just super thankful for you two, the native sons, the angel sons, man. These guys.
Well, and just remember, man, you're giving us the same amount, right? You're putting out the same vibes, because how often is it that you can show up and somebody is going to be that honest, or somebody is going to be willing to talk to you and share some of those things that you did, man. And so give yourself props too, right? I tell people all the time, and a big shout out to my friend Steph Browning, because this has been her word for all of 2020. And it's basically just give yourself some grace, and I think that's something. What's funny is that, like, there's so many these high expectations, especially you being a PK, right?
Yeah.
But what's funny is that, like, oftentimes pastors themselves are the ones who are hardest to maybe ask for help, ask for guidance, because they feel that pressure of the world, and maybe it's not okay to feel like that this person's a human being, you know what I mean, because people are looking up to them. And truth of the matter is, like, man, they get attacked more, right? Because they have that extra pressure and things like that. And so, regardless of, it doesn't matter what profession you're in, doesn't matter what you're doing, allow yourself and teach yourself to give yourself some grace, because trust me, without it, man, it's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really hard to maybe focus on some of these things, and trying to be that imperfectionist that is going to be impossible to achieve. And so just understand, sometimes we fail. And so if you fail and you're going to fall forward. If you're going to go through some of these things, just understand that, like, it's easy to get caught up in that what if game. It's easy to get caught up in that situation of what does that look like for the next step? You know what I mean? Hold on one sec. I'm going to switch it over directly to you while I'm talking, Jeremiah, just so that way my wife is not freaking out here. But ultimately,
No,
like, some of those things, as you go through life, you're going to show up in this section, and you're going to be in that piece where it feels completely like you're on an island. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that basically anytime you go through certain things, anytime you go through trials and errors, it's always, there's always a test before you get promoted. Right. anytime you go through something in the military, at the work, you got to prove yourself before you go to the next level. And so really being able to break that down is really kind of what Two Native Sons is all about in terms of being able to help people go next level.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And it's funny that you even say that terminology of a test. Just even where I'm at, I feel that even just that word was just brought up to me maybe prior to all this questioning and stuff happening. Like that's actually why I'm wearing like all this silver stuff. There's a proverb that says, I think it's like, gold's, oh shoot, I'm gonna butcher it. Never mind, scratch it. Where's PK out here? It's all good.
It's all good, butcher it. It's all good.
There's so much even within, scripture, and I think this is where, people who kind of get tied up when you don't kind of witness the whole of scripture. Like, Jesus strictly set up, like, in this world, like, you will go through suffering, like, just flat out. But be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And that reality of just suffering in general is like so real. That comes that question of like, God, like, where are you? Why did you allow this to happen? If you're a good God, then, why do you allow death and stuff? Anyways, bringing it back down, I feel like for me, like, I feel like somehow God was just saying to me, like, a test is coming. And the cool thing about tests is, I mean, every single teacher wants you to pass. I mean, if they're a good teacher, they're not out there to make a test to, make you fail or say, oh, like, this is where you suck. No, it's like, we want to almost even show you how much, like, you qualify, for in this field or whatever you're being tested for. So, yeah, I just feel like even this 26-year-old thing, everything I'm going through is really just that, just a test. But I want to be able to come out of this being able to encourage people to say that you can, in a sense, welcome the test, like, and like saying, like, bring it on in a way, like saying, like, I know that I'm gonna overcome and like get past and through this, like, for some reason I already feel that, like, for myself. But I'm like, I really believe that that's what testing is all about. It's like, yo, you're supposed to pass this smug, and like you will, So anyway, I'm speaking out the dome.
That's all good, man. I don't know if Patrick lost connection again like he did earlier, so we'll just keep going and whatnot.
I'm still here.
And if Patrick, if you can hear this, when you come back on, you can give your input here and whatnot. But it's one of these things that when you're looking at your journey, getting into entrepreneurship, what you want to do with your coffee, consultant business and whatnot, I have to laugh because I've been reading a book and I'm real big with this book. It's The Buddha and the Badass. And I highly suggest people go check it out. But in here, he's talking about UDA. So it's observe, orient, decide, and act. And in here, he's talking about act fast, even with imperfect knowledge. So think about that. How many people don't act because they're like, I don't know everything, or they don't have everything. And then they're like, well, I can't do anything. Because I think that was something that I may have asked you a little bit when we first met. Like, what knowledge or what do you need to take that next step? And so for yourself, when you're looking at what you're doing, what do you think it is in regards to taking that next step to start launching what you want to do?
Yeah, man. I think what was that first one you described just now? What was that? Oh man.
I don't even know. It's all over the place.
The one with like the conscious, decision. I feel that I'm personally what I'm kind of dealing with. Not that I necessarily have the lack of resources, but really just kind of like if I go somewhere, like I wanna go there, like all the way, full in, And I think right now, even just with my current history, like doing the young adult pastoring thing, the freelance videography, and now the management, at B3, it's kind of like these three different categories that I'm like, all right, which lane is it, that I want to pick and go for, that I like really, really want to consciously choose and say, I will live and die by the consequences, whether good or bad, for it. So it's tricky. Like, obviously, I'm no LeBron James. I'm no freaking, Gordon Ramsay. But I just look at, these guys, and I'm looking at people who stuck to one thing and, like, sacrificed on that one thing. And then now they're at the point where it's like this floodgate. Like, they could do whatever they want. Like, I don't know. Gordon Ramsay can freaking play basketball for all he wants. I don't know. He has that lane to, I don't know, hop into like a celebrity basketball game. And LeBron James, if he wanted to do a cooking show for some random reason, like, he could do that. But it comes from, I think, that first beginning sacrifices, which I think makes me hesitant of, like, okay, what's my sacrifice, and what am I wanting to put that time and effort into?
Yeah, I love that.
Well, I think you got to be mindful too. Like, there's never going to be perfect time. There's never going to be that perfect action, not a perfect day and whatnot. And on my stream on the watch party that I'm sharing, I see Patrick on there, but right now on this one, I don't see him. So, Patrick, I know you're out there. I don't know what's going on with his end. So,
I see him. I see Pat, and I hear Pat. I see and hear Pat.
Yeah, I don't see him. So, on my end, I don't. So it may be my end too. I gotta love it. Like,
Can you hear me at least?
Funny. I just have to laugh and whatnot.
Can you hear
me? I can hear Pat, Scott. I can hear Pat, and he's saying, "Can he hear you? Can you hear him?" So it's some sort of.
No, I cannot.
All right, I'll be right back.
There's a team, so I may have to pop out. So I'm gonna pop out real quick. Okay. Patrick is still there. So let me pop out, and I'll be right back.
That's funny. You gotta love the technology piece, man. But
you gotta love it,
Yeah,
it's part of it. It's part of it.
Garrett, thanks for reaffirming that I am on here and that I am actually a person. Thank you. That makes me feel better. No, man. You know what's really cool about your thought process about this whole thing is that you're already kind of like next level thinking. And it's crazy because you probably don't feel like you're there because you have so many questions, but those aren't typical questions that people ask, right? Those aren't questions that people ask themselves in terms of like, oh, should I be thinking about what sacrifices am I going to have to make? Can you hear me now, Scott?
I can hear you. I was watching the watch party. I could see you, but I'm I was like, this is nuts. But you know what? Imperfect action. We just keep moving. We'll do what we need to.
Right. So, yeah. Well, I was just telling Jeremiah that, like, even his thought process to think about stuff like that is already next level, right? Because not many people think about maybe the sacrifices. Not many people think about, man, am I truly committed? And here's the thing, too, that a lot of people assume that they might start a business or that they might pursue a dream and that they're married to it. Here's the thing is that by wherever you put your time and energy, you're going to get opportunities. And again, opportunities may present themselves from that, right? So think about how many people start out thinking that, hey, I'm going to be a cook when I grow up. They go to school, or how many people go to and get these degrees that they do nothing with, right? And literally it's like all of a sudden they end up somewhere else. So the same thing, it's basically if you're open-minded for opportunities will present themselves. And so it's just a matter of basically just putting yourself to get out there and do it. And again, maybe this is not where you think you're supposed to be, but again, maybe that's exactly where you're supposed to be and being in that uncomfortableness, right? And then can lead to somewhere else. So I don't know.
I'll talk about that too.
Go ahead.
If you're thinking about overthinking and you're like, I need to know everything, this may really resonate. He said overthinking something can actually be a competitive disadvantage. Because think about with what we've done with two native sons, we talked and we're like, okay, cool, whatever, jump. But you'll have so many people that are like, I have this idea, then they overthink it, and then they shoot themselves in the foot because they talk themselves out of it. And so it goes to the action of ready, fire away, and then aim as you're going. And you may have to pivot. But so many people are so close to 3 feet from gold, and then they quit. And so it's one of those things that you don't know everything. And so if you can find people that you can partner with it makes it so much easier to get through the shit than trying to go about it your own. But that's also, it's finding the community too, even if you're not business partners with somebody, but finding those people that you can trust and you can lean on. It's a powerful thing because that's the only way. We're social creatures. So the only way we're going to get far is by working together.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, and it's tricky for me, you know, because I'm even seeing that too. And I've always been a big believer that, you know, in whatever season I'm in, you know, for right now it's coffee. It is serving at a small business coffee shop, you know. I've always been a big believer in serving the season, and that the season will set you up for the next thing. Like as blind, you know, as sometimes that can look, you know, and like the future of what is the next season, I don't know what it looks like, but really focusing in on, okay, what are the principles here of what I'm actually doing? What am I pulling out of this? Like, I'm a huge just believer in that. So for me, yeah, I think right now I'm definitely on that spectrum of, yeah, that overthinking, kind of thinking out and planning, seeing all these different possibilities, visualizing. And then at the end of the day, yeah, it comes down to, yeah, the do. Like, I was just like, I had a little lunch break and I saw this homie, his name, Ricky, has like a little island, like taco shop. Like he makes like jerk chicken. It was amazing. Anyway, he was pretty much just randomly made that comment, you know, it's another thing to think, it's another thing to do, you know, two different things. And it's, yeah, it's like, I know that trigger at the end of the day has to be pulled, you know, in some direction. Even as it is, in a sense, already being pulled for what I'm doing now, you know, it's just this crazy thing. Yeah. And it's for me, I'm just like, so man, if I'm honest with you, just like so fascinated, like by it all, man, like just wide scale and just like how big everything is, the whole stinking world. I mean, there's people out in Hong Kong, you know, I don't know, like 18-year-olds like doing their thing, bro. And that's just it's insane, man. And then it comes down to the individual. Who am I? Where am I going? What's going to happen in this life? So I love it, man. I love this season. It's crazy, but I love it.
Man, I wish I had your mentality when I was your age. So that's it's a beautiful thing to see, honestly, and to kind of see where the story goes, where you end up, and all that stuff. I'm super excited to watch it. Hopefully, to be a part of it. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you look at people and you just be like, man, that person's destined for good stuff. You know what I mean? Because they're in the right mentality, because they got so much talent, they don't even know it. And I really see that a lot of that in you, man. I just think that you have all the right intangibles, and that once you figure it out, it's going to be like this crazy thing, you know, and it won't surprise us by any means. But at the same time, it's like I'm rooting for you in so many different ways as well.
For sure.
Yep.
Dude,
I
do see that.
I do have something. So this is a little different here. Patrick already knows we got some pod decks here. So I've got four cards here, very random cards. So we'll go through it just to kind of give a different perspective. But this one is, would you rather? Would you rather wear a monitor that beeps when you're lying or beeps when you're attracted to someone?
Well, wait. Can you say it again? You're kind of cutting out. I'm not cutting from the question. It just kind of cut out. Can you repeat the question?
Would you rather wear a monitor that beeps when you're lying or beeps when you're into someone?
When I'm into someone? Oh, man.
Yep.
Bro, if I'm honest with you, I would probably... I'm so tricky, man, dude. It's also as a married man, you know. So I would say the lying, you know. I would say the lying one, just because, you know, as I'm married, you know, that'll just be super easier, you know, and you know, just calling a spade, just walking in truth, and I don't know, just saying like, I ain't lying, you know. I would say that, bro. I would take the lie. I would take the lie. If I'm honest with you, I really suck at just lying in general. Like those games where like you have to like pull up some sort of like facade, create. I just can't. I can't do it, bro. Like I'm probably the worst liar in general that you would meet. Anyway, so I'll take that. It's an easy one.
I think I'm the only single person here, so it'd be the attraction one, just because it would force me that if I see somebody, freaking just go talk to them. That's like my one downfall is I trip over my own self, and I'm like, I want to do it. It's like, this is the one thing that really, like, you can't do that. Yeah, honestly, for me, it's like, I don't
know. This is a natural icebreaker for you to be like, what the heck was that?
Yeah, you know.
I really like it.
Then for me,
pretty much. Hey,
for me, I grew up. For me, I grew up a liar, right? And I was kind of, I don't want to say coerced, but it just stuck with me for a very long time. So because of this turnaround of trying to be authentic, trying to be a much improved version of myself, and always making sure that my past is part of its future, I would probably take the one about lying as well.
That's good. That's
good. I got you. Also, it's all good.
Where did y'all get these cards? Where did you guys get these things?
I got it. It's my tools, man. It's for the podcast and everything else that I do. So bought it. And actually, I went on the guy that created this. He's created a new podcast. So 20 Question podcast is what he has. So that should be out here soon. It was interesting and whatnot. So the next one is what the heck? Do you have a birthmark? If so, where?
Yeah. A birthmark? Shoot, yeah. I have a couple of them. Definitely one on my left cheek. I'm getting 100 with you, bro. It's like this little Marilyn Monroe, but on the behind, not on the face. Ain't nothing cute to look like right here. Anyway, that's just honest.
Oh man, Jeremiah is the perfect guy for all these questions. That's hilarious. So I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. Jeremiah, you might already know this, being part Filipino, but like, did you know that Asians have like this blue butt, right? And it's like almost every baby has it when they're born, but a lot of us carry it into adulthood.
What? Dude, actually, this is new to me. I'm half Hispanic.
Oh yeah, apparently a lot of Mongols have it as well. Koreans,
the Mongolian.
They call it a Mongolian booty. So it's a real thing. Man. Yeah. A lot of us into adulthood have blue butts. The real life avatar, man. Smurfs, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's real talk. That's real talk.
That's real talk. If you haven't already subscribed to the realist talk out there. Love that.
Mine, I got one on the back of my neck. So somebody actually thought I had like dried peanut butter on the back of my neck. But that's the birthmark is there. So it's just one of those random things and whatnot. So it's quite interesting. But this is funny to start finding out different things of people that you would never know.
Right. Yeah, I got one on one of my ring fingers, and then I got one on my forearm as well, and then I one on the face. So the other cheeks, not Jeremiah's, but
the other cheeks. Right. Oh man,
quite the turning conversation. Yeah, Gary, you get what you get.
We're going there.
So the next one is, do you have any superstitions?
Superstitions, like the song? Oh man. Pat, can I might need someone else to go first on this one.
So I don't have superstitions per se, but there are certain areas where I will test them out. And so like I used to frequent the casino a lot. And so there I would definitely try superstitions. You know what I mean? But the other thing, and again, maybe that's because that's kind of what people do there, right? And so it's kind of maybe a learned trait. But for the most part, I'm a firm believer in terms of law of attraction, being able to create your own opportunities and all those things. And so that really supersedes a lot of superstitions. But still, I think depending on where you're at, maybe you develop some of these things, or they were learned traits from watching other people do them. I'm pretty sure I have them. I just, when people say, "Oh, knock on wood," maybe that's one. You know what I mean? But for me, it's really, I mean, it's empty because I'm not going around literally looking for wood to knock on to make sure that stuff don't happen.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. Yeah, for me, I don't. Oh. Yeah, there's this one, man, it's happening to me a lot, man. I don't understand it. They call it just the angel numbers things. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. You're seeing numbers just like all the time, like right now, like I'm seeing the number like 44 like everywhere, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea what the heck this is, what it means, whatever. And seeing, people are saying like it means like new beginnings, like get ready, all this stuff. I'm like, all right, like if that's what you think it is, bring it on,
Dude, I've got a friend named Aaron, and he's always been around the number 719, right? He grew up in Pueblo, couldn't wait to get out of there. The reason he believes he's here in the Springs is because of it. But I've been around him when some of these numbers have come into play. Like, I went with him. He got like a altar call to his mom's church, and the other pastor that was there basically said 90 days you're going to see some stuff, right? And it was like I think it was like the 88th or 89th day. He got to this point where it was like he got this really big job offer, and it was kind of like an answer. And then like another 90 days later, he was in a different position, and it's like I've seen him sometimes at like 3:21 in the morning where he messages me, and I literally woke up the minute before, and he's like, "Hey, are you awake?" And when I'm like, actually, I am, so it's just weird. But he notices those numbers all the time. So I don't mean this condescendingly. I'm proud of you. I'm proud to call you friend. Alex Yoder, thank you so much, man. You're awesome, dude. Just good people to know. I highly encourage you guys to connect with Alex Yoder. Not only is he really great on social media because he's constantly making you laugh as well, but just, man, the guy is full of knowledge. He's a good person to have in your corner. So I highly recommend you guys connecting with him after this as well. But thank you, Alex, for tuning in and just for being here, man. But yeah, so the angel numbers thing, man, like it's, I think that it's real. I think that, especially for people who have maybe that gift of interpretation or maybe dreams, stuff like that. Sometimes, a lot of that stuff is crazy. And I'm personally kind of glad that I don't deal with that, because I think that would drive me crazy, because I already see like different stuff from an empath side, you know what I mean? So I can't imagine what that piece looks like. Got the wife tuning in live. Thank you so much. She probably wants to hear why we're talking about Mongol butts.
So good. So good. Just missed it.
All right, Scott, what about you, man?
I'm real big. I don't watch horror movies just because I believe that opens up doors to things that I don't need around me, especially energy and whatnot. So that's a big one for me. It's just one of those things that I think it just opens up to attracting stuff that you don't want. So that's my superstition. And that's been real recent and whatnot. But other than that, even our thoughts and whatnot, but it's not a superstition of that. You can see scientific studies with thoughts and what things occur and whatnot. So let's see here. The last one is, which words or phrases do you most overuse?
I already know yours, 100%.
We already know. We already know.
Dude, hands down, dude, I'll tell you, my coworkers will say them all day. Like, when I go in on them, I go in. One of them's a classic, like California, like stereotype that I just made aware of, and that's kind of where we, in order to agree with something, we say, no, yeah. We say like no up front, and then the yes like no, yeah. Like, and like I was just made aware of this. Like, I say that a lot. It's just like yeah, I'm agreeing, but I'm putting no in front of it for some random reason. Yeah, that's one for me for sure. And lately, yeah, I've just been saying cool. Like for me, I think it's just like the amount of times I can get a word in. That's more so my thing as opposed to mainly the actual word that I say.
That's funny. You know, it's funny when you start to realize some of those things about either yourself or people notice things about you. Like for me, um, it's either like kind of like geez Louise or sheesh, like that. And man, the only reason I notice is because my son says it all the time. Like, hey, put that away. We're getting ready to eat dinner. He's like, it's almost done. Sheesh. And I'm like, oh man, I know exactly where he's
Gosh.
getting that from. Or he's like, geez, mom, I'm almost done. Right. And then I'm like, oh man, that's totally me. Right. The other thing too is like, I don't know. They say Midwest, but they never consider Colorado to be Midwest for some reason. Even though I feel like this is more Midwest than like Chicago or Illinois or Indiana, Nebraska, all those places. But man, when we drop something or when we bump into people, we don't say excuse me. We say the word ope. Like I drop my keys like ope. Yes. And I promise you find more people around Colorado here and you're gonna notice it because they don't say, excuse me. They go, like that's an excuse me somehow, or you're supposed to just know. You know what I mean? So watch, you're gonna start noticing now. You're gonna be like, you're gonna see someone drop their keys and be like, oh, sorry about that, right? But it's not an excuse me, it's just the word ope.
Oh man, that's funny.
Love that.
Yeah. So and you'll like every time I hear myself saying it, I'm like, oh my god, like it's one of those things you can't break. So yeah. OP is like that's not even like an acronym or anything. It's just a weird random noise.
Oops, sorry.
not even oops.
That Homer Simpson, bro. He just subconsciously made his way into Colorado.
Yeah, I guess, man.
That's funny.
Do we really need to even talk about Scott's?
Oh, we already know what that is. Everybody can say this. Here, let's go.
Let's go.
We already know. And so we got merch coming out. We got some other stuff. Shout out to Patrick Massey and Hype Designs for bringing that stuff to life for us. I updated my I don't know what you call it, the secondary picture on my Facebook profile with what he did. And so we do have some different things that is coming to life. We have another one that is huge for us because we talk about being unscripted. And so we already know what's going on. And so it's one of those things that Miriam likes to make fun of me for it and all that. But, it's such a simple phrase that sticks. And if people recall that's who I am, then it's the let's go guy. Yeah, let's go. Like, get on that damn rocket ship and strap on and let's go. We already know.
That's awesome.
It's a good one, man. It's a good one to have, bro. That's character there. That's character.
Yeah, and what's so funny is like you can twist it on people, right? Not that I've done this or anything, but let's just say one of these days my wife was like really in a hurry and she was like, "Let's go." And I just basically said, "Let's go," like "Let's go," and I tried to flip it on her, and she was not happy. But she couldn't help but laugh. She was like, "You're an idiot. Let's go," and you know what I mean. But just two simple words, can be so powerful, can be so meaningful. You know what I mean? And so, like Jeremiah said, it's a good one. So I know you had those pod decks. Would you guys? I'll leave this up to you, but it's not every time that I feel like I'm compelled to maybe share some of this stuff. But with everything that we've talked about, Jeremiah, for you especially, man, like I said, kind of being and seeing like a similar version of myself, kind of where you've been. If you're okay with it, I'd love to share maybe a poem with you, and I've got like the song that I wrote it to be able to play on here and everything. So you kind of get the full experience in regards to the closest of what I have was what considered to be a completed product here.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Give me where we are. Give me 1 second. I think my AirPods are about to go.
Yeah. Take your time, man.
So I need to find some substitute headphones real quick.
Okay. Yeah, take your time.
So I don't know. Is that allowed on one of these things? Like a quick
You're good. Go do what you need to.
I'm
Dude,
gonna
people got to go bathroom all the time. Do what you got to do.
So why we have this opportunity, it looks like Jeremiah's got his stuff, but as he's looking and whatnot, we do want everybody to know that's watching this live, watching the replay. We do have some things in the work for Two Native Sons. We do have our first sponsor lined up.
Yes.
And so once we get everything finalized with that, we'll bring them on and they can share their story.
Dude, I'm
and
so
they've got some
excited about
unique
that.
perspectives with life. Man, no, I am, because what we've done is we have a very large collaborative net that with people that work with us and want to become sponsors with us, they're getting a wide range. So they're having Garrett's platform with his podcast, the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast, the Dreamer Cypher. When Patrick goes live, you've talked about your buddy Aaron with his 3 podcasts. Yep. It's just an avenue for us to really help people expand and stretch. And our heart is just to help people get that exposure. And with as many platforms, I think we have 8 different platforms that people are going to get exposure on. So if anybody's watching this and they're interested on being able to get themselves out there, have a larger audience and leverage us, because that's pretty much what it's happening is you're leveraging what we're building, which we're more than happy to share what we're building with you to help you out. And so I know that's been huge for us, and it's stuff that we've talked about. And if you don't believe in the whole law of attraction, it's happening for us, because we'll talk about one thing and a couple of days later something falls in our lap. But ultimately, when it comes to this stuff, though, too, is you have to express it, you've got to speak it, but you've also got to do action. A lot of people will express and say, I want this to happen, but then they don't do any actions. And they're like, well, why is it not working? Well, this is not how it works. You've got to speak it and let people know what's going on. And that's the importance of sharing your dream. And so I will actually right here, I've told people before, but with Two Native Sons, we will impact 1 billion people, and we will be $1 billion enterprise. And if you're looking at me like I'm crazy for saying that, that's cool. Just know that it was proclaimed here and it's been put out there, and things are lining up where it's going to happen for us. When that takes place, I don't know. But when you're like, man, Scott said he was going to do it, and look at what him and Patrick are doing, we doubted him. Thanks for the fuel. Here we go. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm ready. I don't know, Patrick, if you have anything else to add to that before you spit some bars with your poetry and the music.
You know, I just think that sometimes the doubters are necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be able to flip and show results. And people who are there who weren't there to doubt that you can turn and change, those are real statistics, right? Because you can find people, you can find your tribe, you can find people who agree with you, you can find people who might say that they agree with you but still wait on the sidelines, and that's okay too. But you know, those both of those are going to be signs of real statistics in terms of like watching the growth, seeing it happen right in front of their eyes. And so again, if you're not a supporter, if you are a doubter, if you are a person who's on the sidelines who says, yeah, I like what you guys are doing, but I'm not going to get involved, whatever, that is perfectly okay. There is nothing wrong with that by any means. We're not judging. We're not saying that, you know, you're a terrible person for it. Honestly, there's a lot of people who are just kind of in that format, and we understand that. We're okay with it. But hold on to your seats. You know what I mean? Or as Lando says, hold on to your butts.
Mongolian ones.
Yeah, hold on to your Mongolian butts. Punching a hole in the universe. Yes, sir, Garrett. Let's go. For sure.
Let's go. All right, I'm ready. I'm souped up. This is if it was anything like, you know, those first, you know, hot 16 you shared, bro, I am ready. I literally got my pen out, bro, just to, if anything hits like it did, bro. Jeez. So I'm ready whenever you are. I'm ready.
No pressure. So just let me know if and just preface, if you're watching this on the live, you'll probably get the audio. If you're catching this on a replay, probably for the next 5 to 7 minutes, because I don't own the rights to this music, you probably will get silence. And so you probably just have to fast forward to the next 7 minutes, and then you'll be like, "Dang it, I missed that." Patrick, could you send me some of that hot fire? And I'll be like, "Sorry, it's a one-time deal." But
It's a one-time deal.
That lava, give that lava out. Let's go.
It's real.
all right, so let me know if y'all can hear the music on your end. It's gonna take a minute to kick in. Apparently a long minute.
No
Nothing?
music. You just gotta spit bars without music.
I mean, I will do it, but give me 1 second. Let me just try something.
Or if you know the music and it doesn't play, you just let us know what it is, and we can remember what you spoke here, and then we can go listen to the music while we remember.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Share audio. Okay, this is the song that I. Oh, you know what? I know exactly what it is. Hold on. I know. I accidentally hit it so it wasn't playing in the middle of us. So I muted the. We're good now. It's technology, man. We'll get it one of these days.
Absolutely.
Good times.
Y'all already doing big things though. The screen,
Appreciate it.
sharing, it's crazy.
You guys hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Too loud or good enough?
It's very bassy, but it's good.
Okay. It's got a little bit of an intro, so let it build up.
I hear those Inception keys.
What if I'm a creature who's unpaintable, alienatable, unmaintainable? A non-fairy tale fable rebel without labels. A guy whose relationship with his brothers like Cain and Abel. I try to stay able and unshakable, but alas, I only stay awake staring at the popcorn ceilings. Head above water, but often testing the undercurrents. Current events got me stressed, not because I care, but because I care too much. I care about my brethren, my people. When I look at people, I see broken. I see irreversibility. I see pieces of me. I see what I don't want my kids to be. Alone, narcissistic, begotten, wild, broken. I want to give them a token of appreciation, but that would mean that I would have to remove my fickle mask, that I might have to show my true self. I might have to dare to care in hopes that love is reciprocated as a verb. The thought of loving is being the new butterfly effect. But first, I have to learn to love me. To just be, to look at my own life without dry heaving. What if I'm just a human? Maybe incompatible. Laughable that I hide my idiosyncrasies with laughter just to be relatable. I lie as he lies, as she lies, and they lie, and we all pretend to be copacetic. It's pretty pathetic that we hide in cosmetics, athletics, even state claims to be poetic, right? But we're sick like diabetics because we live life apologizing for things we agonize and antagonize, not because we don't care, but because we don't care enough. Thus begins the words on paper, the horrible images of people, of myself. And I begin to sketch, I begin to draw, I begin to crawl, I begin to claw, and I begin to dig deep to kill the old me, to forget the world me, so I can begin to get the whole me. Not the parts that I've hidden, not the parts that I've been living, but the parts to me that I didn't care to see. The paralyzing dreaming refugee, the one that I silence his soliloquy because logic and reason, because I'm worried of the seasons, the voice that I only respond to when it's only me versus me again. But what if I'm not a creature, if I'm not human, what if I'm just an empty entropy looking to find breath again? Looking to have regrets, looking to bypass and overlook everything. What if I'm a lost soul decaying in a broken body whose quest is to forever search? And what if I can't be found? I can't be cured, I can only search because the search keeps me going, keeps me tethered, but in reality I can never go beyond the search. I dig and I slither and I wither. I search and maybe someday the search will begin and end, a rebirth, like how art can give a renewed sense of purpose, like a wife finds a new identity in motherhood after childbirth. You see, maybe lost is not permanent, maybe it's a penance. Art, for many, is not many things, but maybe for some art is everything. Maybe art is a memory of lost things that you can't remember nor forget. Maybe it's a chase of a lifeline. Maybe it's a tide to your lifelines. Maybe art is just another word for love. Maybe love is another word for passion. Maybe passion is another way, another path, a way that you didn't know existed. But it's all ambiguity. It's something bigger than life itself. It's superfluous. It flows. It grows. It shrinks. It destroys. Heart and art and muse and lost and poetry and broken. We're all searching. Not because we care, but because we care too much. We are not painted canvases from the start, but many happy accidents by partisan of love and war. I said we are not painted canvases from the start, but many happy accidents by partisan of both love and war. Yet we aim to be so much more than broken.
Dang, bro. Dang, bro.
Oh,
Dang,
man.
Timely. I'm telling you, man. So what is this? This is Pat?
Yeah.
My guy? What? I didn't. So here's the thing. I come into this this live stream not even really knowing what to expect, and bro, I'm just so surprised, man. Just like even poetry and this art that you're sharing, man, and just the lyricism is incredible, man. Because
you, man.
I know for me, yeah, like you said, I think you played this one in particular because of everything I'm going through. Scott, I think based off our conversation, it's pretty funny because it does make sense. Like, and these questions is really, it's just like deep issues going on within the soul, let alone the souls of so many within humanity. And yeah, man, bro, that hit on an Inception level, bro. Hey, what is that called? Is that called Care Too Much or what?
It's called Creature.
It's called Creature.
Yeah, because the possibility, of oftentimes, one, we're not human enough. And if we're not human enough, then what are we, right?
Yeah.
And some people are referred to us as creatures. Other people would refer to us as humans. But when we're not sure, even sometimes, if we're human enough for ourselves, for the people that we care for, the people that we love and take care of, so that was me literally just putting myself in that perspective of like, man, if I'm watching myself, if I'm watching the world that we live in, if I'm putting myself in the mirror perspective of, looking at my life to where I'm at now, it's all of those different things that I talked about.
Wow. That's so good. Yeah, that ending statement you're saying, we aren't painted canvases at the start. Oh my gosh, bro. Jeez.
It came from Bob Ross, actually.
Yeah.
He always called us happy accidents, right? And
that's
so
true, man.
Yeah,
Bobby Boy Ross.
Yep.
Dude, as you were I don't know, as you were just going, bro, as you were just in your zone, the word amusement just popped up in my head, and someone told me way back in the day, man, just that word amusement really means no thinking. It means no thinking. Like you look at the Greek, to muse means to think. You put the A in front of it is the negative connotation. So it means no thinking. And it's crazy as you're talking about, what's the difference between humanity and even just that animalistic nature. It's really that mindset of like, oh, we have the capacity to think a little bit more, to almost like through our mind care and think, and almost like step outside of ourselves more, to care about and almost like think and put ourselves in the shoes of somewhere else than we are, instead of our very nature. So I don't know, man, like as you're talking about, just like I personally see that, like, and as I was talking about, like there's this like state that I'm in where there's a temptation to, in a sense, numb everything that's going on, the pain, the suffering, to numb and almost like numb my brain, to not even go inside myself to figure out who I am, which in a sense that numbing puts me back in that creature like state. It's just crazy. So I don't know, man, like as you're going in, bro, like just that whole concept of, like kind of diving into those waters of actually thinking about, what humanity is, what is caring too much. What does it look like, with even love and all that stuff. But also the other side of just like numbing it out and just letting things flow. So bro, what the heck, bro? Jeez,
you,
man.
My wife did some clapping hands, and then Garrett says I was cooking, so I couldn't comment right away, but very powerful. Thank you, Garrett, for just being here, man. You're always got the good vibes, man. I know Garrett was like talking to me at like 3:00 this morning, telling me I should go to bed and all kinds of stuff too. So, I mean, just Garrett's available, and he's always got the good vibes. Man, I can't wait for Jeremiah to connect with him too.
Yeah.
Just a lot of.
I do. I want to give a shout out to Garrett too, because he's starting some stuff up with his coaching practice. So anybody that's looking for a individual that is very strong to help you with your mindset, reach out to Garrett. Give him a shot. He'll do a discovery call with you for, I think, 30 minutes, just to see if you guys are both a good fit, him and whoever it is. But just the evolution and seeing what he's coming and what he's bringing, it's powerful. And so I'm just grateful for like everything that's happening, the collaboration piece, everybody that we're coming across, and just seeing how large this is going to get and the impact that it's going to be made. And ultimately just knowing that we have a bunch of resources and individuals that are hungry and driven. And I know for us, we've got people that we'll talk to, and all of a sudden they're like, "Yep, I'm all for it. Let's go." No hesitation.
Right.
And so I think that's the importance of your vibration and what you're thinking and what you're doing on a daily basis, because that's going to attract the people that you're looking for. So it's a powerful thing.
Yeah. Dang. Jeez. So Pat, how long have you been, doing this, bro?
Man, so I've been writing really ever since I was a kid. I remember reading this book in probably second or third grade, and I can't remember the name of it, but basically this whole storyline of like this kid where he was visited by aliens, and basically these glasses would set him apart to be able to see like who was real, who was an alien. And basically he went on this like long big adventure, and when he came back, he was given this shirt, and it was him and his buddy, and his buddy was like kind of like I guess the best way to put it, of two mice of mice and men, right? So you got Larry, the big old guy who like doesn't care about anything, and so the thought of like girls was repulsive, and you got this other kid who's a cool kid. And so the t-shirt basically that they were giving him basically brought affection from the opposite sex. And so I remember he put on the t-shirt, and the teacher was just kind of like, infatuated with him, like, "Oh, you're so great, blah, blah, blah." And so he was like, realized like how powerful this shirt was. Well, I remember reading that book, and then I remember thinking like, I would write that story ending completely different. Right. And so I did. And I was, like I said, I was probably in second or third grade, and it was only like a page or two long, but I remember showing it to my dad, and my dad was like, he's like, did you copy this? Or I was like, no, this is a book that I read and I wanted to rewrite the ending. And I was like, this is the way that it should have ended. And I remember for the first time, my father looking at me, just kind of being puzzled, because he grew up as a musician, as an artist type, and he was just like, had that proud moment where, like, dang, my kid has some artist in him. And so, like, that kind of sparked it. But I always kind of like was specifically drawn to a lot of stories, like the Iliad and Homer's, the Greek mythology stuff. Like, that's my all-time favorite stuff. So I used to write a lot of creative stories. Like, I have a 3-part series on Icarus in a first-person perspective. And if you know anything about Icarus, he had the wax wings, flew too close to the sun, and fell to his demise. But the fact that he was even given an opportunity to fly in the first place, most people don't realize he was actually captured with his father imprisoned, and his father built these wings to allow his son an opportunity to get away. So
Yeah,
to be able to go through the emotions of him,
Yikes.
right, basically wanting to please his father, wanting to stay with his father because he loves him and all these things, and watching his father use his hands and to teach him all these different things while he's imprisoned, while he's on limited and borrowed time, and then to basically essentially push his son out the window. Right. And so you're going through all the emotions of Icarus in terms of what that feels like. And for a brief moment while he's soaring up in the sky and he's got these wings, he almost forgets everything. Right. Because it's just this complete high. But then the wings start to melt. And all of a sudden he's free falling into the ocean and basically having to just, his last free moments and his last free thoughts in regards to that, hitting that high really quickly enough to forget about everything, to just free fall. So that was kind of one of the first takes of something that I ever wrote. I also had another short story that I wrote, which was basically about a Roman soldier who is basically hearing all these rumors of Jesus during him being crucified and going through all of these things. And the entire time he's trying to figure out, like, why is this man being prosecuted? He's heard of some of the things, but they're through rumors. And so it's the complete opposite perspective of maybe somebody who's read the Bible, and in terms of the perspective of somebody who's third party hearing about all of these things that's going on and what are his thoughts,
Yeah.
So those were kind of the introductions to all that. And then it became more personable, right? It became more writing about my feelings, writing about things that I was going through. And for a long time, a lot of the stuff I wrote was just so dark. And I think Scott's been privy to hear some of that stuff, but I just could not break away from all of that while I was in depression. But it was one of the few things that kept me to be able to just continue, to put out my thoughts and feelings honestly. And once I got to the point, then, I was comfortable sharing. Then you kind of go through this thing where, like, you want to share everything. And then you realize, like, you know what? I don't want to do that, because now people kind of tell me or try and get me to share stuff or write stuff that I don't care about. And then I came back again to the short creative stuff, and then started putting lyrics and songs and writing to hip hop beats and things like that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I found for me is just that as much as I love hip hop, as much as I love music, as much as I love rap, for me, that's not who I am. My background really is more on that poetic side, in terms of being able to pick and choose the words that I use, without breaking it down into form, without having to worry if I'm rhyming or not. Oddly enough, I developed a pretty decent following on Twitch, and hosting a digital open mic for poetry and artists. And it wasn't until, like, some people that I really just, man, I'm still humbled, that they would come and hang out with me because of how talented they are. I have a guy who writes a poem 2 to 3 times a day, daily, every single day. And gosh, it's not just the consistency that he has, but it's like the depth every single time. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have a hard time getting there most of the time. And here he is every single day killing it, because that's his life. That's who he is,
Yeah.
And so for people like him to turn around and say, hey, I mimicked your style in this poem. I mimicked your style in this piece of writing. I didn't even know I had a style. I didn't even know that people could identify my writing And a lot of it basically has to do with some of that hip hop influence, because I can start and stop where I'm rhyming and then turn it back into a poem or vice versa.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of writing where I may just take one single word and rhyme the entire 16 off of that one word. And I didn't realize that like some of that stuff is really advanced, because I've never taken any sort of writing courses. I've taught writing courses to other people to just think outside the box and put stuff together. Nothing in a true like, oh, this is a AB rhyme scheme or anything like that. But what's interesting is that people have kind of over the years taken around and said like, you know what, I've written this poem dedicated to you based off of your style, and vice versa. So we used to do a lot of community type stuff. You know, and for me, it's just really, I just really loved the rhyme scheme when it came to hip hop, you know, especially if it was really clever. And so, you know,
Yeah.
not everybody agrees, but like Eminem to me is pioneered so many things because he didn't just rhyme words, he rhymed syllables. You know, and it's like, it's mind-boggling when you think that somebody after all that time, instead of basically was rhyming a single word or anything, was rhyming entire words matching the syllable count.
Yeah.
So it might be like, I think one of the first ones was somebody said orange, right? Because we know traditionally there's not very many words that rhyme with that. And I think he used a line and said the word door hinge, right? And so that kind of changed a lot of stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely pioneering out there. And I think it's, I don't know, maybe it is pretty significant that the title of this live now is Unscripted. Just because, I mean, dude, I never knew that context for you, for even that capability to just even take a script, you know, like Icarus, like you're saying, and completely flip it. And even just, the classic story of Jesus, and, you know, but take that from a perspective of a Roman soldier, you know, in a third party view. And in reality, that's kind of even just what I'm just experiencing, you know, and I think that everybody kind of experiences to some degree, where in a sense you ask the questions that start to get you off the typical script of how things are supposed to be. And it's within that where, you know, our true and own individual stories, uniqueness, truths pop out, and a whole new script is born and birthed, you know. So shoot, you writing Unscripted, bro, I think it's good.
Well, I've got three things, and so this actually, so I think what Jeremiah's bringing up, we really are helping people create a Zafuji lifestyle. And Patrick talks about that, and he's like, when I tell people what this means, they light up. And so what we're doing is just going about it. We're very unconventional with what we're doing. People will be like, this doesn't make sense. Thank you. But Zafuji is zero fucks given. And some people be like, well, that's a very negative connotation and this and that. It's not. We are doing what we want to do. You can agree with us. You don't have to agree with us. We understand that we're judged 100% of the time. And so how are we going to show up? And so there's a couple things in here. And the crazy thing about this is this guy, Paul Marston, he had wrote that the evidence shows that we inherit and transmit behaviors, emotions, beliefs, and religions not through rational choice, but contagion. When we are unsure of how to react to stimulus or a situation, these theories suggest that we actively look to others for guidance and consciously imitate them. And I look at with two native sons, and I'm like, we're doing so much that doesn't match with anything. And that's where the Zafuji lifestyle comes into play. The zero fucks given is we're doing what we want. If you agree with it, cool. If not, that's cool too. It doesn't hurt our feelings. But we know what we're going to bring forth, and we are attracting people that are looking to solve big things, because what we have is a very audacious goal, and people are looking for those type of things so they can jump on and solve very big problems. And then this is another one, and I had to laugh because I had seen a post in regards to talking about how we really don't control our reality. Reality just happens, and it comes out of the blue. And I'm like, Not really. But if you believe that, then you're just letting life punch you in the face and roll you over like a steamroller. But it said, but what we believe to be true becomes true. All of us are creating our own reality. And so the power of your thoughts, the power of everything. And the last one, this is one of the very important aspect that we've really got to consider. He said, human beings are complex entities. Unless you truly know me, you don't know me. Please never assume a behavior or character trait of anyone at Mind Valley, which is his company, that is disempowering to yourself. Think about that. If you believe it's disempowering to yourself, you're attracting that, and that's what you're believing, and then you're putting it out on everybody else. And I was like, holy shit. He said, you won't do anyone any justice. And so that's one of the big things that I tell people is if you have a bad experience with somebody in the business community, do not bash them when somebody asks you a question about them. If somebody's like, hey, what about this person? They're human. Go experience for yourself. Go talk to them. Figure out if they're for you. Because the thing is, if you're like, oh, this person sucks, and people will take it to social media and bash small business owners and really screw them over. Because we think social media we're gonna be vindictive. But the thing is, you never know. This person that you said was not good, and you told this to this person, that person could have missed out on something very important because they believed you. And so instead of saying bashing them, just say, hey, they're human. Go experience. Go talk to them. Figure out if they're gonna be for you. That's all I'm gonna say. And let them experience that, because that person, you might not have connected well. That person may not have been your cup of tea, but this person that's asking you about them, maybe they resonate very well and they connect. Sure. And so it's one of those things that we've got to understand. We're judged 100% of the time. So how are we showing up? And so it's just some very different perspectives that a lot of times I might be on my own island, which is okay. I'll be on my own island. You can, if you after a while you look at it, you're like, that's correct. Okay, I've got room. I got plenty of room to come on this island. Let's go.
Just as long as it's not Epstein Island, you're good.
Yeah,
very
sure. No, for sure, and definitely that's quite the theme that I'm seeing. Even for me, I would consider myself someone who definitely empathizes with people and tries to see people just where they're at, and just where they're coming from. But I'm just seeing like so much of like how much I can subconsciously, blame the world for being the way it is, blame humans for being the way they are. But in reality, at the end of the day, in regards to the script, like it's just like, I know I'm just discovering, probably I would even say for the first time, is just like personal responsibility. Like, and how powerful that is. So everything you're saying, Scott, like, about like, like if, dude, you cannot control what somebody says about, your podcast, or even thinks about it, or about us individually, as human beings, or how they react or respond to something you may have done or said. But what we have control over is, ultimately, who we are, our spaces, our thoughts, inputs, and our outputs. So I'm discovering that. And as you guys continue on y'all's path to continue to preach that, like, dude, it's gonna be revolutionary.
Yeah, and I tell Scott all the time, I get to the point where if I'm judging, I just walk away and start my own thing, to improve the process. And again, does it maybe improves the process? Maybe, but when I find myself in that position where, like I said, I'm putting more effort into judging and all that stuff, then I just do things my own way, and that allows me to kind of break away from that.
Observing and grasping for the wind. Yes.
Yep. Love that. So, man, I appreciate you guys, just your energies and your time and your thoughts, to be here, to be in the moment. As I talked about before, for me, like mythology, that's a lot of stuff that people don't really necessarily know that's a big passion for me, but there's so many different one-liners and lines that I've used, in regards to my writing for that. But there's so much things that we can learn and take away from the lessons that were taught from some of those things, and it's really interesting. Like, that was really my first love for any sort of reading, was a lot of that stuff. But that has transitioned and carried over into my writing. A lot of it's carried over into business, my thought processes, and it's one of those things. You would ask kind of where it got started, and the question is like it never ends. You know what I mean? And so as a lot of these things evolve, I still carry that with me. And I didn't realize for the longest time, but I needed that to be a part of the things that I do, because being able to share my story, sometimes it's easier to put myself and just say, hey, just listen to this poem, right? Versus say, to walk you through that dark path of everything that I went through, there's no way for you to really understand, but at least maybe in this format, you can kind of relate a little bit. And so, since I started doing that as part of my business, some of my presentations, some of the people I meet with on a one-on-one, it's not easy always to put that out there, but sometimes it's easier to do that versus just expressing everything. And, but that's part of me realizing that that's part of the authenticity of who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
So
That's good. That's good.
yeah. So Jeremiah, any closing thoughts for you, man? Like tonight, again, we appreciate your time. I mean, I'm excited, like I said before, to see where this journey goes. But is there anything, at least at this point in time, but even if it's offline at a later point in time, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. But is there anything that you feel like that you can use from us right now?
Man, I mean, what I could use from you guys is just knowing that I don't know, just what y'all are doing and who you guys are being and who you guys have already been to me. Just like in that moment, like that's that moment. I reflect on meeting you guys just and how we all had that conversation at Starbucks. I reflect on it a lot. Number one, it was our only time that we all met up together. But it seriously was so significant to me, in that I would even say like it's a conversation I will remember for sure in 30, 40 years from now. Like so really it's encouraging to me to know that y'all like in what you guys are doing with Two Native Sons, that y'all just keeping up at it, just even with y'all's personalities, that intentionality and being open and honest to even have like, bro, like what you just said, like, hey, do you want to hop on? And like I don't know, I could have been some crazy dude, like with I don't know, but just like, just having that authenticity of just saying like, hey, we want to be open, honest, transparent with you and give you even a platform to speak and just to be able to try something new. Like, bro, this is something I've never done. Like, I've never done this. So like even that y'all would even do that, like even on a first time basis to be able to open like a small like a door, just to open a door to even someone like me. Like I'm just incredibly grateful. So I just say thank you and keep it up, because like here's the thing, like y'all have mentioned your goal, which I had heard for the first time, just like a billion, like billions big, baby. For the billions big. But I've always I heard this one statement, and I kind of even just like I really love y'all's heart, because I don't think you're going this place, but it's like, how can you minister to the masses if you lose the ability to minister to the one or to serve the one? And you guys have for sure done that to me, like even what y'all are doing. So I have no doubt that Billy's coming here soon, yo. Let's go.
Well, it's like when we met for the first time, I told you, right? Like now that I knew your story, I had a responsibility to just be human, right? And one of the things that I had talked about in actually a recent poem that I wrote was, it talks about H2O and water and all these different things. And it basically says that a body of water has the ability to consume, right? Has the ability to make change, but a single drop on a single head is still not wasted, And so again, like rainstorms can be deadly, but they can be very beautiful, right? And, it's just a matter of what season you're in, where you need it. But even still, some of those harsh things turn into very beautiful things, right?
Yeah.
And so the same thing, like I love the fact that you talk about how, we say we're a social impact business, because we want to make a difference. And it's not, you can't say you want to make a difference if you're just sitting there not doing anything. So our mission statement says, inspiration through action, living a Fuji lifestyle. And so that means that we are going to we're going to go out there. We are going to make and be that change, regardless if you agree or don't agree. But guess what? Even if you don't agree, you're still impacted. That still adds to the billion.
Yeah, that's good. Scott, I feel like you got something to say, bro. You're out of your chair, bro.
Yeah.
You're rocking.
No, just taking it in. I'm grateful that you took up the opportunity to jump on here. We ultimately is just taking this Dreamers Cypher roundtable, not holding anything back, and just being raw, real, authentic, unscripted, and bringing individuals that are getting into the space of entrepreneurship, having people that have been doing it forever, and just giving a platform to people, because ultimately your message could resonate with somebody that we know. And so it's just one of those powerful things that we all have a message. Somebody else needs to hear it, and we got to get out of our own way. And so it's just sharing what we're doing with other people and just blessing them, and ultimately not holding anything back. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that are in business, and they'll have these type of discussions, but they're not open with the empathy, and they're not open to the non-judging to allow people to show up as their true self and actually just talk off the cuff. Because I do say fuck, and I also tell people when I come meet with people, I'll show up in a ball cap, a t-shirt, shorts, Vans, and if you don't like it, well, I don't know what to tell you. That's me, so I'm not going to change. So it's just ultimately just opening up the door and just helping people out, and ultimately seeing what people dream about, and then seeing what we can do to help them achieve it, because we have a very large community. So the more we can impact people and help them go after their dreams, we have a very large vehicle with fitting people in here, and then that's going to allow them to go after their own dreams, and we're going to still be able to do everything under the sun. So
I think a lot of people are still kind of wondering what Two Native Sons is about. And honestly, it's basically teaching people how to give themselves grace, but also how to give themselves that understanding and that belief in themselves that they are ready now to go next level. But, to teach people that you can have greatness. And that's something that we're not taught from a young age. Dreams start shattering really early. But the fact that people can be on even playing field with other individuals, regardless if they've been in business for forever or if they've new to a business, you have so much that you can bring to the table right now, and that's really what everything is that we're about.
Yeah, that's good, and it's straight up inspiring, man. Like I already got ideas flowing, and awesome. I'm gonna be writing some of it down to just take some action and get started on some things. But yeah, I'm just excited, just to even be here and to be able to say, like, next time I come through, hopefully within
always, man.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like maybe 3, dude, maybe 5 years from now. Who knows? It could be 6. I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just excited to pop out on the other end. If there is another end, who knows? I might be, sucking my thumb on side of the street, but then again, I might not, but either way, I know, like I talked about that I knowing that something will come out on the other end, a message, a vision. I'll be personally even excited to share with y'all, because I know that you guys have been a part of that, for me, and just helping just unlock that for me. So I appreciate you guys.
Love it, man. Thank you so much. We're excited, honestly, and I think honestly I speak for Scott and myself when I say that we're just humbled here to have your presence here as well, man. So you're equally putting out the same things that you're saying that we're doing for you, and so it's reciprocal for sure.
It's all love, bro. It's all love.
Guys, if you've enjoyed just this unscripted conversation, again, this is the 5th episode of the Dreamers Cypher. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. This will be a podcast as well, so look for that. And again, you can start finding us on the different Instagram, Two Native Sons. We're about to launch our Facebook page and group, so that way people can get more involved and, learn the processes of giving themselves grace and greatness. So thank you guys for tuning into the Dreamer Cypher, and we'll catch you next time.